What's going on, everyone? Another episode to sit down here, man. You know, I'm your host, Ernest. We got Jordan, and today we got Aeneas Hawkins, man, former Penn State football player, man. Welcome to the show.
Hey, man, appreciate y'all having me. I've been watching y'all from a distance, seeing all my boys hop on with you guys. Appreciate being here, man.
Yes, sir.
Nah, we appreciate you coming on, bro, making time, bro. I know me and Hawk, we go way back.
Way back.
We're gonna start in the beginning. I want you to definitely have this platform just to let your fans get to know a little bit more about your upbringing, about what you're doing now, what you've been through. But just start all the way in the beginning, just growing up in Ohio as a kid with obviously your family having that NFL football lineage. Just talk about what it was like growing up.
Yeah, it was definitely different than most normal upbringings, I'd say. Just from the time I can remember being born, like, and really being able to remember anything about life. My dad was playing in the NFL. He got drafted in the second round. He played 10 years. So from the time I came out the womb, like, I really never had any interest in watching like Blue's Clues and Dora the Explorer. I wanted to watch ESPN. I used to go upstairs. I still remember being a kid. I found my dad's high school highlights on VHS, and I would just play them on repeat. Like, that was really all I was interested in doing. So, you know, a lot of kids, they grow up, they want to be astronauts, they want to do whatever. Like, from the time I knew what my pops was doing, I knew I wanted to play football, right? So that was definitely a cool part of my experience. It definitely shaped a lot of my identity, at least initially. And it gave me some direction. So I'm thankful for that. My dad played. When he retired when I was about 10, it was like the same time his little brother had just gotten out of college, and he goes and he plays professional football too. So I grew up with both of them. The rest of my family, they played football. Like, I get to Thanksgiving dinners. I played football at Penn State. I had 40 offers coming out of high school, and I'm not even in like the top 10 of the football players in my family. Like, I get no trash talk off. So it definitely was cool, but really what it created for me was just like a sense of purpose really early on. Like, I got to high school and I knew exactly what I wanted to become throughout that 4 years. I went to a really big high school, really big Catholic school, not quite Florida high school football, as y'all know, but a national powerhouse historically. So I had the blessing of playing with a lot of really good athletes. A lot of really good players, and kind of getting to sharpen who I was athletically very early on. So after that, I would tell you, went to Penn State, played 4 years of football there. The injury bug kind of jumped on me heavy. As a matter of fact, I met Jordan Minor at the USA game my senior year of high school, and I went and played in that game knowing full well that my foot was broken. So like all week long, and I didn't want to tell my parents. I had missed my senior year of football already. I'm like, look, I'm not telling anybody anything about this foot because I'm finna play. It's been too long. So went down there, met Jordan, ended up going to Penn State, like I said, and kind of struggled through some of those injuries and those ups and downs. But really what I think that created was an opportunity to see myself away from just being a football player. Because again, I had grown up, and that's all I wanted to do. That's all I really had envisioned myself doing. So I feel like in that adversity, it created some opportunity to do some of the things now that I'm doing post-career. So I'll stop rambling after this. But since I've stopped playing about 2 years ago, co-founded Limitless NIL. We focus on doing marketing for athletes around the country. Every sport you can think of, men's, women's, that's been a ton of fun. And to me, it's a great way to get athletes to start seeing themselves as more than just athletes, and getting them to kind of develop their brands and look at themselves as the business rather than just being a part of a major sport in this country. Obviously, that now they have some opportunity to go create some things for themselves. So that's a big part of what I do now. Some of the podcasts and stuff, I want to be Jordan Minor when I grow up on this camera. And that's really about it.
Well, yeah, man. So talk about your transition from, playing football, your whole life being your dad playing football, you going to Penn State and playing. So talk about the transition, like how difficult that was to not like see yourself playing and not like being able to go to the NFL like your dad.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. I think when I actually made the announcement that I was done after my 4th year, then I got a bunch of support from family and from friends and people who maybe I wasn't very open with about the struggles that I had at Penn State. But for me, I began having to let football go by the time 2019, 2020 came around. I was still playing, I was still on scholarship. My effort was really high still, but realistically, I knew that literally week by week, my body was declining more and more. So I had I want to say opportunity, but it was tough. But I had 2-3 years really where I had to come to terms with that reality. So it wasn't easy. I think the hardest part about it that I struggled with, and I see a lot of my peers having gone through that same struggle, is just, okay, well, where do I go now? I think with football, especially, you spend so much time pouring your all into one thing that even if you're careful and you're aware of the horror stories of people not knowing what to do after football and the struggles that can come with that, if you're not really intentional, you're going to get caught up in being just a football player. So definitely wasn't easy, but it's like anything else, man, one foot in front of the other. Even when you don't feel like it, finding a way to push forward and kind of redefine yourself, to me, is the key to making that transition.
No, 100%. And I know it's something we're definitely going to touch on earlier, but just definitely I feel like in today's time, it's different kind of from back then, because like back then, the NFL was kind of one of the only outlets, but you can get the same amount of success and the same amount of fame outside of the NFL as well. So just leading to my question, did you ever feel like those like internal battles with like knowing like your family lineage of going to the NFL, but just in terms of today's day, like you don't really need that too much? Like, did you ever feel like that, like let them down type of thing?
That's a great question. I think first of all, my dad, my uncles who played, my mom ran track in college and was good. They always, no matter what happened, they showed the same amount of love, whether I was performing at a high level or I wasn't. Obviously, they instilled like the work ethic and the things that it takes to be successful. But they also allowed the space for me to grow and develop and be myself. So I never felt too much of the pressure from them. But for me, as a competitor, as somebody who is watching my 5'6" uncle find a way to play 7 years in the league, as somebody who knows that my dad played 10 years in the league, I'm a competitor. And I feel like, hey, I'm watching you guys do it. I've seen all of y'all go have success. Why can't I go do the same thing? So I really think that pressure came internally. I kind of put it on myself. But to be honest with you, looking back on it, I don't know that I would change it. Because when I was 14, 15, and maybe my high school coaches or my high school teammates didn't believe that I would go take it to that level and go play at a Penn State and go do those things, I always believed it. I was almost delusional about where I would go because I had seen them do it before and I knew it was attainable.
Yeah, before we go too far, let's talk about your recruiting journey, because I know Penn State, like you mentioned, out of 40 offers, what really made Penn State stand out? And outside of that, was there any other schools that could have grabbed you? I know hometown schools, like with your dad and with your uncle. Were there any other schools that really got a serious chance at you?
Yeah, so I think the funny thing about recruitment, again, we keep talking about family. By the time I had been recruited, most people, when they're getting recruited to go to a school, they're probably the first person in their family to go through that type of process or to see the business side of sports and to really go through it the first time. You can't play the game really as well as you could if you know all the information already going into it. So for me, I went into recruitment understanding that, hey, if I get XYZ school and so conference to offer me, then these other schools are going to be forced to look at me because everybody's just competing against each other in recruiting, right? So I actually only visited Penn State the first time to force Ohio State to offer me. That was the reason I went up to Penn State. So initially, I did not have any interest in being a Nittany Lion. But Jordan, you asked, why did I go? From the very first visit, Franklin and his staff, like I walk into the office, they got Biggie Smalls playing. My mom was crying walking to Beaver Stadium. My dad's, he's sipping the Kool-Aid. So it really, from the beginning, felt like home. It felt like family. And I remember getting in the car after, and obviously my parents are in on this strategy to ultimately get some of these other offers. And I'm like, look, I enjoyed this place more than anybody anywhere else I had been at that point. So there was definitely some strategy in recruitment, but I would also say if there was one other school, looking back on it, that I would have ended up going to if it wasn't Penn State, it was Cincinnati. Luke Fickell had just gotten into town. There was a lot of buzz in the city about the success that maybe he would be able to create there. I grew up a Bearcat fan. For a while, my dad was the highest draft pick in Cincinnati history. So I grew up going to all the games. I was on the sideline at the Orange Bowl in 2008. I was at the Sugar Bowl in 2009 when they went undefeated. So that was all I had seen. To me, those guys were superheroes. So going through that recruitment with Cincinnati was definitely it was tough to say no to him because that's all I wanted to do growing up was go play and be a Cincinnati Bearcat. But ultimately, I just felt like Penn State, the degree that they were offering, the alumni network, the tradition, the history, it was just too much to pass up. And now as a grown up and having seen how my career unfolded, I'm glad that Penn State was the choice I made.
Man, sidebar, man. You talk about Ohio State. You won that Ohio State offer, man. Jay Minor's trying to do the same thing. That's why he went to Penn State, man. They slided him too, man. They slided him too. But
that's crazy, Jordan. And this sidebar here, Jordan is real humble. I watch these podcasts.
He is.
Jersey hanging up behind me. That's from the game that me and Jordan played in together. Let me tell you something. Jordan Minor on that day had like what was it, Jordan? A pick six. He had a blocked field goal. What else do you do? Jordan had one of the craziest games I've seen from a corner of all time. So don't let Jordan sit back and act real cool because I remember who he was for sure.
Nah, I appreciate that, bro. I know we definitely going to talk about that game, that experience. But just in terms of, obviously, you ended up picking Penn State and, like you mentioned, playing in that Team USA game, dealing through injuries early on and definitely experiencing injuries throughout your time at Penn State. How much of a mental does that really play on someone that does have these dreams, that is surrounded by the game? Like, how is it that you balance that mental side of it, but like you said, you still have to go to practice every day. You still have to show you're a good teammate every day. Like, how is it balancing that? Like, dang, like I'm going through these injuries. Like, I want to achieve these dreams, but like in reality, that like you physically can't do it.
It's tough because as an athlete, you're taught pretty much always to outwork your circumstances. That's the overwhelming message that you're given by coaches. You give yourself. As athletes, again, we're competitors. As a football player, obviously, there's a toughness factor to it. So for me, especially as a younger college player, my mindset was, hey, I'm not going to allow the injuries to be the reason in my mind that I'm not successful. To me, it was, hey, I can work harder. I can change this. I can correct this. And you go through that. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. At some point, it does take a big toll on the mental because you see all your other boys continuing to get better. You see them turn into NFL athletes and you see how their careers go. And you're like, man, I'm working just as hard as these guys and I'm not reaping those same results. And that's not easy. I'd be lying. Like there were a lot of nights where it gets lonely and I'm sitting in my room, I'm breaking down film. I'm knowing what I'm supposed to do on the field. I see it live happening and I just can't get my body to respond the way it needs to be successful. And that's not easy. But again, what I would tell you is it comes back to faith and it comes back to believing that there is a bigger plan. So for me, what ultimately helped me finish out my career at Penn State and then transition after sports was that I believed that there was something beyond football because it didn't make sense to me how I could go from having 40 offers, being healthy, dominating at my position to never being the same athlete again, really without reason. So I kept that faith. And I'm appreciative that I did that because it allowed me to graduate from Penn State. And although I wasn't a successful football player based on the standards I had set for myself, I had 100 new boys that I still call on today. And I still got those relationships. And it helped me get into media and it helped me start this business in NIL. And all of those things, I don't know that they happen if I was on the path that I had set out for myself of being a high-level football player and going and playing in the NFL or whatever it may have looked like. I don't know that this would have happened. So I'm thankful for this still.
So yeah, man, that's a hell of a story right there. Honestly, but so let's start talking about your life after football. So like, you're doing the NIL. So explain exactly what you're doing to the NIL to our audience.
Yeah, well, I'll start from square one. So I had just gotten done playing football, and I was at one of those off-campus college apartments, and we had like the entire team was on one street in this apartment complex. So I'm sitting on the couch watching Malcolm in the Middle. I got no clue what to do with my life. And then my phone lights up and it's Sean Clifford. And he's like, hey, I got an idea. Are you free? So I went over to his apartment and we started talking NIL. I had experienced the first year of it myself. He was still playing at Penn State. He had gone through a year of it. And obviously he had navigated at a completely different level as a Power 5 quarterback. We all know how those guys are getting paid in these deals. It's just a different level. And what we talked about internally was just that we didn't feel like at that point in time, with NIL being as new as it was, that the NCAA and really most of these institutions were in a position to help student athletes maximize their NIL. And what did that really look like? And we didn't feel like maybe these student athletes would be protected as they go about it. As a lot of people know, there are a lot of slimy people out here who are looking to take advantage of these young athletes who maybe don't know their own value just yet. So the reason we started Limitless NIL upon inception was, hey, we need some type of mechanism to protect these athletes from what they don't know and to help them go achieve all of their goals. So that's really how it was born. We've gone in 2.5 years at this point from square one to now we're working with athletes all over the country at different levels, some of whom are elite athletes and will go play professionally. Some of whom are massive social media stars and have created their own brands. And what we really specialize in is a few things. It's obviously bringing deals to them, it's negotiating on their behalf, but then also how can we help develop you in other areas that will help you when you ultimately hang the cleats up or you stop playing the game that you love. So an example I'll give you, we had a hooper who we work with who was playing at the college level, was a good college player, but had the injury bug and wasn't going to go play in the NBA. And he called us and was like, hey, we want to get into broadcasting. So hooked him up with Big Ten Network, got him on broadcast. To us, the point being is that there are a lot of ways that we can help these kids go win. A lot of times it's not a question of the want to or the talent. Sometimes it's just the know-how and the connections and the network. And that's really what Limitless NIL brings to the table.
So would you say you all are like an agency? Because like NIL, I know NIL, name, you know the acronym I'm talking about. So like it sounds to me, y'all sound like an agency.
So really what we do is we work in marketing. So we do marketing deals with different brands and we connect brands with the athletes. And to us, what we try to focus on is not only obviously creating value for the athletes that we work with, but hey, how can we make these social media campaigns that we do as valuable for the brand as possible? Because really the question becomes, and the question a lot of people have asked is, well, what is the return on investment that these brands are getting when they give these kids these contracts to execute on these deals? So for us, if we can create value on both ends and create partnerships that make sense and are long-term, that's a win for us. So we're on the marketing side of things. A lot of those things that we do are in social media, but also, you know, we do like in-person events. We do a bunch of youth camps. We did 10 of them last summer for kids that we help around the country, just getting them involved with the youth and getting them in their communities and getting them to see the platform that they have and the impact that they can have to us. That's just as important as how much cash we can help a kid make while they're in college. And again, it comes back to the idea of the holistic development of the people that we work with.
Talk about just in terms of you being around the game your whole life. Talk about the difference between like the game back then, where I feel like that off the field presence wasn't as important as it is now. Like I feel like in today's day and age, especially starting in Little League, going up from high school, people having the cameras at their game, really trying to get that off the field presence. Talk about how different it is just nowadays, Lord. You have to think of that, or even in today's days, like with Limitless NIL, I feel like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that wouldn't even be a thing that's even considered. Just talk about the differences between the social medias now versus like the lifestyle that like your uncles and like your dad was going through back then.
Yeah, well, it's just like you said, it's just different. It's just different. I mean, we say 10, 20 years ago, honestly, if I would have seen a kid making TikToks 5, 6 years ago, even then, like it almost was looked at as this, maybe this kid isn't serious about their sport. Maybe they just want to do social media. Now it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't have a brand that you've developed, then you're leaving money on the table. It's not really about social media or do you care about football or basketball. There is money to be made here, and there's a short window for most kids to go do it. Most of them ain't gonna go play in the NFL or go play in the NBA. So developing that brand is crucial now. I never was a social media guy as I played. I didn't take it real seriously. And then obviously you go back far enough to my dad and my uncle, they weren't worried about any of that. It was just how hard you could grind and stay focused. It was looked at as a distraction. So I still think it's perceived that way at times, but I think there's more understanding now. And again, I think at this point, if you are one of those people who are hesitant on NIL or whether or not student athletes should be focusing on the content they create and all those things, then you're getting left behind, because what sells now, what people are interested in now, is actually getting to know the athlete. It's why you see docuseries like Quarterback come out and do well. It's why Hard Knocks is great. It's why women's basketball has been able to grow so rapidly, because people fall in love with the personas and who these athletes actually are, and it creates an opportunity for kids to go tell their stories. And to me, that's the cool thing, because before, you get a kid who all of a sudden their career ends, they don't get to play football anymore. Nobody knows their story. They only know their jersey number in the school that they go to. So it gives another platform, another opportunity to share some insight into who you are, because there's value there. Like, authenticity is what sells. That's what people want to look at, regardless of the industry you're in. And with NIL, I mean, it's a great opportunity to do that.
I got a question. So, like, I knew you kind of spoke on it like a little bit, talking about highlighting the athletes. That's basically what we're doing here, highlighting athletes. So just talk about why you enjoyed working with NIL so much.
Well, it's cool to me because, like you said, I alluded to it, but realistically, the wide majority of these student athletes are never going to touch a professional field, stadium, whatever you want to call it. It'll never happen for the wide majority of them. Mm-hmm. Let's say even beyond that, they're one of the few who go play professionally. If you just look at the NFL, 78% of them are broke and divorced in 3 years. To me, historically, there's an issue there. These kids aren't being developed. They're not sharing their stories. They're not connected. They're not educated, and it costs them in the long run. So the reason I enjoy working at NIL is because I experienced what it's like to go from being a 4-star with every offer in the country to getting banished to the scout team for 4 years and never even coming close to sniffing the NFL and having to go through that transition. So to me, there's fulfillment and there's passion in helping these young people understand the business aspect of what they're involved with, and then from there, showing them how to go capitalize on it.
No, that's crazy. And then especially the business side, like, definitely I want to go into that a little bit more. But before that, talk about, just in terms of your journey, I want to hear instead of a welcome to the college moment in terms of on the field, like, what was like your welcome to like the business side like moment where it's like, oh no, this is real. Like, if I don't know this, like, they're gonna try to run game on me type thing. Man, or did you experience that or something?
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple things I could point to. I would just say, college football, there's so many different ways that it's business and business alone. And this is kind of on the field, it's kind of not. But I just remember after my freshman year, getting sat down, and the guy you just had on the show, Judge Culpepper, who's getting ready to go play in the NFL, Judge and I got sat down, and they were like, look, your first year wasn't pretty, and we're about to go get a bunch of D tackles. And what happened next is they went and they signed 3 D tackles in that next class, because the people that they had invested in, myself and Judge Culpepper at that point, had not turned into what they expected us to turn into. So even a place like Penn State, where it's family, I was just at Penn State this weekend. It's family, it's love, it's still business, and they got football games to win. So understanding that if you're not ready, or if you're a young person and you go into school and you don't do things the right way, they will move on from you. They have no choice but to move on from you. It's business for them. They're collecting checks and they're feeding their families with this. So it's a different level. And I would just say, and Jordan, you know this, I mean, I've seen people, not just at Penn State, but around the country, with all the talent in the world. They go into school and maybe it's a work ethic thing. Maybe they can't figure the classroom out. Maybe they got off the field issues. They will get you out of there as soon as it's convenient and possible to do such, if it doesn't look like a kid is going to turn into what they invested in to turn into. So it's just crazy to watch. And again, I think Judge is a perfect example. A kid who was at Penn State, was a high recruit, didn't find all the success that he maybe thought he would at Penn State. Then he goes somewhere else and he has 9.5 sacks, and they're about to have to pay Judge Culpepper. So just seeing kids in the transfer portal era and going from place to place, on the outside looking in, it might look like a kid isn't what they say he was going to be, then he goes to a new environment and then he's able to go ball out and capitalize and maximize who he really is. So it's just crazy to watch. I like NIL because, again, college coaches for the last 20, 30 years have been able to leave whenever they want to leave. And they've been getting paid to do it. So why are we limiting the actual talent, the actual reason that people are putting their butts in the stands? Why are we limiting when and where they're able to go? Why are we trying to control that? So I think NIL has kind of shed a light on that a little bit.
So that leads me to my next question, man. So how, some people have been saying that they should limit NIL, if players got too much freedom, this and that. What are your thoughts about possible restrictions and people saying there should be restrictions? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's ironic. It's ironic.
Especially people like Dabo and Nick Saban.
Right.
I'll let you talk.
Right. It's the guy signing $10 million contracts who got a problem with kids making a couple $100,000, and they talk about freedom. And I was just telling somebody, nobody wanted to talk about college football like a big business until they started cutting checks to the athletes. And what I would also tell you is that college football has been a massive business with coaches, with universities receiving funding. I think right now people are satisfied with the dangling carrot of a kid maybe signing a deal with Raising Cane's. But what we got to talk about are these multi-billion-dollar television deals that are getting signed every year. There's a lot of money out here to be made. And again, the primary reason anybody's invested in these sports at all is because of the student athletes who are there. So it's just interesting. I think it's a good point, like you said. I disagree, obviously, with them. I think it's important to make sure student athletes are put in a position where the deals that they do, the NIL that they are able to facilitate, is done safely and in a place where they're able to obviously capitalize on it, but then at the same time, to not be distracted by it or put in a bad situation by it. There's a lot of bad contracts out here, bad people trying to get around these student athletes. So to me, the only adjustments that need to be made are the ones around the safety around student athletes and making sure that they're taken care of. But you're not talking to a guy who's going to say that we need to limit how much cash we're putting in these kids' pockets at all, because they're the ones generating all the revenue at the end of the day.
I'll tell you, I'll say one thing about the limitations and stuff like that. Caleb Williams making $10 million in 2 years is crazy. That's crazy.
But it's crazy. It's crazy.
Until
we talk about how much money Caleb Williams made USC and the NCAA. It's just crazy until we put it in that context. Yeah. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
No, but talk about just in terms of being in the space. How much of advantage does that give you being a previous athlete as well as growing up around the game and knowing a lot of people and a lot of people in your network in those positions?
Yeah, I would just say, my job specifically is around the people that we recruit, the people that we work with, athlete relations. Once we do get them in the door and we start working with them, I think the biggest advantage is that so many of these kids are used to people lying right to their faces. And there really isn't a whole lot of reason for them to trust a lot of the people who are trying to advise them and are trying to get in their corner. And they have a lot of reason to question some of those people's motives. So when I approach these kids, it's just a transparent conversation. We talked about authenticity already. I just come to them from the perspective of what I actually lived through, what I dealt with. And again, the background of my family and having been around it my whole life, it helps. But I'm not saying or doing anything special. It's just a matter of, hey, this is how it actually works. I know it because I went through it. And I'm not coming to you from a place of, hey, I have a fiscal reason to want to do this. It's simply off of the passion and off of the experience of having been an athlete and trying to help that next generation continue to take another step there.
I feel like in today's day, I know you've probably seen a lot, handfuls. I know I have. I want to hear your thoughts on, especially with NIL now, with high recruited players. So you've seen a lot of highly recruited players outside of injuries. Injuries are a different thing. Obviously, that's the reason that they probably derailed their careers. But the high recruit players that you're like, oh no, like they're going to go things. But how, especially being in the NIL space, like when, like you said, work ethic, that was probably a thing. Like, how does you go about like recruiting like these people to have on your team? And because in all honesty, recruiting these 5-star players, and if they come aboard the team, and once they get to college, they don't plan out because like they feel like they already got it made with NIL. Like, how do you balance that with like your athletes that you have like signed to like your fund? Like, yeah, like we gotta take care of off the field, but on the field is the priority. Like, how do you balance that with your team?
Yeah, it's tough. You gotta really be intentional, because I'd be lying to you if I said, being recruited now is just completely different than when you and I got recruited, Jordan. Like when we were getting recruited, it was all about, hey, can you help me get to the NFL? And am I going to get a degree by the time I leave here? And those are really the only two primary questions that were getting asked. Now kids are coming in there and they're negotiating, and they know what they want to get paid. And if the schools are willing to pay them that, they'll cross their name off of the list. So for us, the people that we recruit, we obviously want to recruit driven people and people who want to do well on the field as well as off the field. But I would also say that it kind of gets overblown and blown out of proportion. The kids who are asking for money and the kids who are constantly negotiating are worried about only off of the field stuff. The wide majority of them are just approaching it as a business, and then are also going and finding ways to handle their business when they get at school. And I'll tell you what hasn't changed at the end of the day. If you're a five-star kid, I don't care if you made $500,000 before you came in, everybody on that roster is going to try you the first 6 months on campus. So whether or not you got paid, the thing here that's keeping it honest a little bit is that you still at the end of the day got to go line it up and play. And most kids, again, especially if they get to that 5-star rank and they have that natural talent, they're going to find a way to go compete and inevitably turn into the players they were recruited to be.
Then yeah, man. Honestly, I low-key had just forgot my question, but I had something else I want to ask too, though. We had Judge on the show, man. Judge Culpepper. Give us one funny story or story you most remember about Judge.
Man. Oh, man. Well, so Judge is my guy. So one day, it's really not all that funny on Judge's perspective, but for me, it's hilarious because I love Judge. So we were we call them D squad scrimmages. So it's our first year, and our other D tackle had gotten hurt and wasn't practicing. So we had like a 70-play scrimmage on the schedule, and me and Judge were the only D tackles. Like I'm talking about the only ones. There wasn't no help coming. It was just us. So and they would have like a break after like 25, 30 plays. So we ran a 4-3. It's me and Judge in there. We're suffering together, but at least I got my dog Judge with me, right? And boom, all of a sudden, Judge run off the field, and we moved to a 3-4. I'm the only D tackle on the field now. So every play, I'm getting double teamed. I'm on the field. I'm asking the people around me after every play, where did Judge go? Blah, blah, blah. Where's Judge? Judge over there being soft. He's tired, blah, blah, blah. I get into the locker room after practice. Judge got his hand taped out. He done broke his finger so bad that the bone had come out. And I'm on the talking crazy about him. I'm questioning his toughness.
You questioning his manhood.
If I got Judge had gone through it. That's my dog, man. So no shade to Judge Culpepper. I apologize for what I said.
Nah, but Hawk, bro, I definitely want to get real. Definitely want to get a chance for like the fans to really see like the athlete's point of view. What do you feel is the thing you miss the most about actually playing football?
The locker room, man. My teammates. Obviously, I miss playing the game, especially like when I was healthy. Like it was a ton of fun. You're winning all the time. You're sacking the quarterback. You're TFL, whatever it is. That's all cool. And I definitely have moments where I miss that. But there's rarely a day that goes by where I don't get a memory that pops up on my phone. Somebody dancing in the locker room, or us going to winter workouts at 4 a.m. and nobody talking. And like even the moments you think that you won't miss, you miss. And that's one thing that Franklin, I feel like, did a good job of saying while I was still playing. It's like, hey, slow down and soak up this locker room after these games, because one day you're never going to be in this situation again. And it can be hard to recreate that type of brotherhood that you get playing college football. You just have so many people who are going through the same exact extreme struggle of being a college football player, and being able to relate to other guys like that is hard to do, especially in a generation now. Like it's rare for men, especially men our age, to have those transparent conversations and be open about struggles and open about their journey to that level, to where you connect like that. So that's definitely the thing I miss, is just some of my teammates.
Do you have a favorite memory from your time at Penn State?
Man, yeah, I'll give you one right now. So do you remember winter workouts, Jordan? How at the end they would have tire pool. Like it was a competition at the end.
Competition one-on-one.
Competition one-on-one. So you do the winter workout. That's like an hour of straight up torture. By the time you get to the end of that, your like body is numb. You're not feeling nothing. Like it's a different type of tired. So I went the first 2.5 years of Penn State, not even 2.5, maybe 2. I did not win. I did not win a competition one-on-one. Like I would, like we get in the Oklahoma drill. I got other people with me. Like I'd win those. One-on-one comp. Like I had gotten swept. So they put the tire in the middle, right? And they give me a young bull O-lineman. He's a freshman, but he had beat like 3 or 4 other D tackles on the squad already. So he throws me in there, and something about it this morning was just getting to me. Like when they called my name with him, it felt like maybe they were trying to bury me a little bit. So I just remember grabbing that tire. Right. So I'm like, I'm not going like that. So eventually I win this competition. I pull this kid over the tire. And most people, when they win, they get up, they celebrate with teammates. But you got to remember, I got skunked for 2 years in a row. So I get up and I'm immediately scanning for Coach Franklin. I'm trying to find him. So I find him. You see me on video. I'm flexing like in his face, yelling. I run out the circle. The whole defense follow me. They chasing me, screaming. So I'm gonna remember that till I'm 85 because I waited so long to get that dub. Yeah, that's my favorite Penn State memory for sure.
So just give one point of advice you would give to recruits now about the NIL space and how you can help them possibly. Convince them why they should come with you.
Right. No, well, first of all, just to any young recruit who's going into college athletics, even with NIL, and I tell this to the kids that we work with, you got to keep the main thing the main thing. It's great to develop a brand. It's great to have a presence on social media. But at the end of the day, you do have a great opportunity still at the school you're at to capitalize on the type of athlete you can be, but go get a degree. And not only go get a degree, make connections within the school that you're in, actually invest in the schoolwork that you're doing and the academic route that you choose to select. Because at some point, when the game ends, that may very well be what keeps the lights on at the crib. So I always recommend to keep the main thing the main thing. But then at the same time, I would say it's important when you get to school and NIL becomes a reality to just understand that the people that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, a lot of times have motivation to be your friend or appear to be your friend. So just be aware of the people who are around you, check everybody's motives. It doesn't mean that you have to cut everybody off, no new friends. You don't have to do all that, but you better be aware that you are an entity, you are the product, and people want to be around you while you're hot. So for me, the reason the pitch that I give to people that we work with is that, hey, we're a group of people who, number one, are current or former athletes. We've been there, we've done that, we lived it. But then at the same time, with the restraints on your schedule from school to lifts to practices as a college athlete, it's just not really feasible by yourself to maximize your brand and to maximize what you can do in NIL. So to have a team around you of people you can, number one, trust, but number two, have a ton of experience negotiating on the behalf of student athletes. With us, we are able to most of the time take it to another level for the people that we work with.
I ain't gonna lie.
I know if I was coming up, I was sign with y'all, man. I ain't gonna lie.
That's what I'm saying, my son too. Nah, but hey, Hawk, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I gotta put you on the spot, bro. I gotta put you on the spot.
Okay, talk to me. Yeah.
So your time at Penn State, we had some dogs come through.
You did have some dogs.
And I ain't talking about career. Like, we ain't talking about who had the best career, but we talk about as football players. Like, who the top 5 football players like you seen from your freshman year up until your last year?
Man. You know what? I'm gonna give it to you, and I'm gonna give it to you in order. All right. This gonna give me
in order, crazy.
In order. All right, we're gonna start. We're gonna start at 5. We're gonna start at 5.
Hold on, you want 5 total, or you want 5 offense or 5 defense?
Nah, just 5 total. I got 5 total in me. Okay, offense and defense. Number 5, I'm gonna give you Yetur Gross-Matos. Okay, and look, let me tell you something. Yetur Gross-Matos. My first 2 years at Penn State, I did not see him get blocked more than 5 times. Yetur was like that. I mean, hands, feet, athletic, motor. Yetur was the dog. Number 4, I'm going to give you my dog, Odafe Owe. Odafe, talk about physical specimen. I remember being in a 40-yard dash line, and I was right behind Dafe in the line. So Dafe get up to the line, everybody go. I mean, it's quiet as a church in there. Everybody got their popcorn out. Bro runs a 4.36 at like 260.
Ooh.
I get up to the line right after him. Everybody dispersed. Don't nobody even watch the rep. Nobody's worried about it. But nah, Dafe's my 4 at 3. Damn, this is where it gets tough. I'm gonna go Olu Fashanu. He's a tackle coming out this year. Olu, from the time he was a freshman, like walked onto campus, was a problem. 6'7", 310, no fat on him. He was a problem. Number 2, my dog, the problem himself, Journey Downtown Brown. He was an issue. 4.2 speed, legit. Strong as an ox. Yeah, I think he's got the state of Pennsylvania 100-meter dash record to this day. We used to I was a 300-pound D tackle, and I'm not like soft by any means. Me and Journey would wrestle in the locker room, matchup nightmare. Can't do nothing with him. Can't do nothing with JB. And then number one, I gotta go Micah. I mean, Micah just from the jump, like I never saw him lose a competition. He can be real nice off the field, real chill, real laid back. But he got that switch to him where it's like when it comes time to compete, he wants to beat the brakes off of you, and he's also the best athlete you ever met in your life. So that's probably my top 5. I left some people off, so I'm gonna get in trouble, but that's a tough list to give.
Jordan. Hey, that's a hell of a list, bro. I commend you for list 5 with no defense offense. You just went for it. I respect that.
Nah, that's crazy. But what you think? What all them guys? What's the craziest thing you've seen on field? Like, oh no, this is a different level.
Nah, it was I actually playing.
Yeah, like we talking about play
on field, like either if you was on the sideline, if you were on the field and seeing it, like, oh no, this is different.
Well, I'll just tell you, I'm telling you, when Dafe ran that 40, like you gotta understand, to be moving that fast at 260, like he was a true 6'5", 260. Like I remember thinking, like, yo, this is like watching a horse like run right now. Like the power that he was generating through his legs was just, it was different. Like people don't really realize the gap there is between like maybe the best high school player that you played with on your team and what real talent looks like. I mean, again, in my high school where I come from, I was a dog. I played real well. I was a good athlete. I watched Micah Parsons run that little 8 drill where you make the figure 8. And I'm like, I've never seen anything like that in my life. It's just a different level of athleticism. I mean, watching Micah power clean 405 and walk away. I mean, no stretch, shoes untied, like just God-given ability. You can't teach some of the things you see these dudes do.
Facts. I ain't gonna lie. I feel like, was there anybody for you in high school that you seen like that? Or who was the first person you seen like that? Or was it just when you got to college?
So my sophomore year, actually. So the first reps I took on varsity, we had a DN who got hurt in like the 3rd quarter. And there was a tackle named Liam Eichenberg who was like still playing in the NFL. He's with the Dolphins. And I hadn't even touched the varsity field yet. And I remember playing against him at 15 and that being like the real catalyst in me saying, like when the offseason started after that, like I better get in the weight room and get serious about this because there's clearly levels to this. He was the first one. We played Tommy DeVito in high school who pulled out with the Giants this year. It was like a Cinderella story. Tommy was a problem. He diced us up. Sean Clifford played for my rival high school. So when we played him in high school, he was the starting quarterback. He obviously broke all the records at Penn State. But their backup, Chase Wolf, went to go play at Wisconsin. So we played 2 Power 5 quarterbacks on one Friday night. So there was definitely some kids that I played against that were just different in high school, but even more so, Penn State, Dwight Galt, Chuck Losey, they just put out genetic freaks. Like it's just a completely different level. Even the guys that maybe don't go play on Sundays, there's some of them I still think about like, man, I don't know how he didn't get to that level, but he definitely had enough physical talent to go do it.
I know you probably played against some dogs in that area, but I know we about to get ready to wrap up the show, but before we wrap it up, it's something we like to do with our guests, a little rapid fire round. So it's going to be a whole bunch of questions. You just answer to the best of your ability, just something to really get to have your fans get to know a little bit more about you. Let me know when you're ready.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right. Hey, this one been a popular one. All right.
Yeah, man. Don't be capping on here, Hawk. Don't come on here.
No cap. All right, no cap. I won't cap.
You need 5 jerseys. You get in a man cave. 5 jerseys to get in your man cave. I need to know what jersey it is, and what edition of it. So, for example, if it's like if it's LeBron, you gotta say what version of it is. Is it the South Beach ones, the Miami Heat one? I gotta hear it all.
Okay. I'm gonna give you Tom Brady. I need that man, which one do I want though? I want the 7th Super Bowl. I want the Bucks. I want the Bucks jersey, Tom Brady. I need that thing signed.
Okay.
I want Adriel Jeremiah Green of the Cincinnati Bengals. AJ Green, I need that signed. That was my guy growing up. And I need the UGA. I need the UGA jersey though, when he was like in college.
The 8. You need the 8.
Yeah, I need that Aaron Donald 99. I need the Super Bowl edition, where he walked it off with the QB hit against my Bengals. Man, this is tough. This is where it gets tough. Man,
you can do all sports too. I forgot.
I can do all sports too.
All sports.
I need Kobe Bean. I need Kobe Bean for sure.
8 or 24.
You said what?
8 or 24.
I want the 24. I want the 24 one, bro. When he beat the Celtics. I think that was 08, 09, something like that. And then my last one, this is random, but I just got done talking to my dog. He signed with the Eagles. I need the PJ Mustipher. I need the PJ jersey, man. Give me the PJ Mustipher jersey. I need that thing signed, bro.
That's what's up.
PJ owes me one, man. I told him already. So yeah.
Nah, that's a good one. Hey, P gonna hop on the show. It's in works. Okay, that's a good one. All right, back to this one. Top 3 athletes you ever seen play?
Athletes, man. Any sport?
Any sport.
All right, man. I'm gonna go. I seen LeBron in person Christmas Day against the Warriors. Different. And listen, KD, Kyrie, they was all on that court.
We talking Kyrie game winner? Cleveland? What game?
It was in Cleveland, 2016 Christmas Day.
Oh, so Kyrie hit the game winner?
Kyrie hit the game winner. KD was hooping, Clay, all of that. I still say Bron
got that bam, right?
You said Bron got the yep. So I got Bron. Man, any sport. Listen, I'm a Floyd Mayweather fanatic. I'm a Floyd Mayweather fanatic, dog. Listen, I think a lot of people get hyped. People want to say what they want to say about Floyd. 50-0 and beat the most world champions of anybody in the shortest amount of fights. We got to give him his flowers, give him his credit. And then number 3, my current favorite athlete and another fighter, John Jones. I'm convinced that if Johnny Bones would have decided he wanted to play a 7 technique, he could have. But the way I see him, I mean, he went from light heavyweight to heavyweight, put on all that weight. They're talking all week about how this cat was going to beat him. He wasn't ready for the heavyweight. He chokes Buddy out in 11 seconds. He's different, bro. Different level. Those are my top 3.
Dang. All right. So, well, shoot, that'll lead me to my next one. I'm going to put a little spin on it. What's your dream fight for boxing and dream fight for MMA that you're trying to see?
Dream fight. I'll tell you.
In today's days, new fighters, the Shakurs.
I want to see Tank and why am I blanking? Tank and Devin Haney, bro. I want to see Tank and Devin fight. I don't understand why that hasn't happened yet. So definitely UFC or boxing. That's what I want to see. UFC.
Who you got winning that fight though? Who you got winning that fight?
Bro, I know everybody's a Tank guy. I don't got no shade to Tank. I got Devin Haney piecing him up. I got Devin Haney working him. I got him working him. Just remember, when this fight happens and y'all are rubbing your faces and you pull this clip back out and Aeneas Hawkins said it first, remember.
So that means you got Haney over get KO'd.
I got Haney over who?
Shakur.
I got Haney over Shakur, but I got Shakur higher than Tank in my mind. Nobody else again wants to say it. And I hope I don't run into Tank one day and he saw this clip because I want no problems, big bro. No smoke.
That's crazy, bro. What's your beef with Tank, dog?
I don't got no beef with Tank. I like him. I like Tank. I think he's got a ton of power. It's God-given power. It's generational. I just feel like Devin Haney is the better boxer.
Better boxer.
I grew up in the Floyd Mayweather era. You know what I mean? Where Floyd was not pretty boy Floyd. I'm talking about old man Floyd Mayweather, where he's beating world champions strictly off of technique and boxing ability. So that's what I enjoy to watch. So it's no shade to Tank.
I like the flashy too. That's why we a little different.
Okay.
I like the
flashy. I ain't gonna lie. I just got a flashback because me and Hart, we used to be roommates. Mm-hmm. So Hawk, I remember walking into the Morgan Academic Center. We just chilling, was doing some study hall and stuff. Miss me and Hawk watching like an hour-long video of this Floyd Mayweather defensive highlights. Just that man trying to do that shoulder roll.
No, that's real.
Yeah,
See,
definitely the tech.
No, I'm not capping to you, man. Jordan remembers, bro. UFC though, I'm gonna say John Jones, and I want to see him fight Ngannou, man. I know Ngannou left the UFC, but I mean, they were talking about that fight happening before he left. If they can find a way to make that happen, I think if you're John Jones, that's the perfect way to end the career. You fight a cat with all that power at the heavyweight division. If you find a way to beat him and dismantle him, we can't even really have a conversation about who the GOAT is in UFC. It's already Johnny Bones, but it's just even more solidified after that.
I like John Jones watching him, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. But I mean, maybe he's older now. I don't know. Maybe he may not watch him, but that's just my take though.
Yeah, I got Johnny winning that too, but I think it might be a good one. Yeah.
What you think about that Ngannou knockout though?
Listen, this is what happens. People, I keep trying to tell folks, you can't listen. I get the UFC thing. I respect it. As far as all-encompassing fighting ability, UFC is superior. But you go over there with them boxers, they're not doing nothing but throwing hands. And I don't know that, just having power, it goes back to what I'm saying about Tank. Being a great boxer, to me, most of the times, 9 out of 10 times, it's going to trump everything else. So it don't surprise me that happened to Anthony Joshua. I think it's surprising people because Francis hung with Tyson Fury for so long. But Tyson Fury, his body looked like he didn't train not even a little bit for that fight. It looked like he just got off the couch and fought. So it probably would have went the same way if Tyson would have trained like AJ did.
Fury, that's the big white guy, right?
Yeah, that's the big white guy. Yeah.
He like Joker, man. He like Joker for real. I look like he's out of shape, can't get nothing done. I'm just whooping people.
It will whoop you, right?
Yeah.
All right, next one. You can have any superpower, what would it be?
Man, this is a good one. I'd probably say it'd be really cool to fly, man. I know it's a lot of different answers you can give, but if I could just leave this work office right now and fly somewhere, that trumps everything to me. I feel like that's got to be a crazy experience.
Thanks.
Damn, all right, Hawk, it's a juicy one. You really gotta think. Hey, you in a dark alley? You can pick 2 former teammates to come with you. Who rocking with you?
Man,
all smoke too.
Man, anybody I played with?
2 former teammates. Yep, anybody.
Man, I'm gonna go. There's a name a lot of people may not know him, but Damian Barber. Those who know. I need Damian with me. I need Damian with me, and then there's a lot of guys I could go with here, but I'm gonna stay on the D tackle wave. PJ Musker's a 2-time wrestling state champ. You give me Damian and PJ, and we're gonna walk away fine most of the time. So we gonna be good, bro. But nah, Damian. I watched Damian one time during a practice. He actually told me he was gonna do it before he did it. He was ready for the scrimmage to be done, and we knew that if there was a big enough fight, that the coaches would basically call the scrimmage. So Damian's on the sideline. He looks at me. He's like, "Yo, I'm done with this. Like today's over. We're done practice."
Over with.
He run out on the field, and this poor lineman does a normal, regular block. Damian don't even try to play D-line. Said, "Hut, boosh, boosh, boosh." Starts tagging him up. But Damian's got the hands, so I got to bring Dame with me.
That's hilarious.
Hey, man, it's almost laughing because I know Damian. I know that too, bro. Dang, bet. All right, next one. Fill in the blank. Okay. I hate when people.
I hate when people are late. It blows me when people are late, man. I'm a guy who tries to respect people's time and
straight to the business.
I feel I like to.
So you don't like CP time, huh?
Nah, man, I don't do that CP time, man. I be having to tell my whole family. My grandma will show up late. I'm gonna tell her. So I don't play that.
All right, but hey, vice versa. I love when people.
Man, this is an old man answer, but I love when people do their job, man. I'm a big.
You an old soul, bro.
I like getting on my email and my dog Trevor hit me and this XYZ got done and we're lit. Like I don't like having to guess about what's going on. I like working with people who get the job done, man.
Say that. Hey, favorite stadium or arena you ever been to?
Ooh, man. I'll tell you what, Beaver Stadium is just, it's nuts. Like I had been to all kinds of big football games my whole childhood. And that first whiteout game, I came out the tunnel and I didn't get to experience it as a recruit. And I ran
Goosebumps.
out. Listen, goosebumps. I'm running down the field to go to the other end and pray. I'm crying. I can't see. Like, it was just different. Like,
Hey.
I'm being smart, so that's the truth. So Beaver Stadium for sure. And then another one that I don't want to give his flowers to, but I got to. I went to Ohio State, Michigan when they were 2-3 in 2016. And I think Ohio State got like the walk-off victory in overtime. And other than the whiteout game, that's the loudest I've ever heard a stadium. So I got to give them their flowers.
I got a question for both of y'all, man. Being Penn State alums,
Okay.
I know y'all seen that viral clip when Michigan came to y'all place for the whiteout. I forgot what year it was. What year it was, but it was so loud there. Michigan called timeout, first play of the game. Yeah. How was that being in the state? I was both still there, right?
Yeah, that's 2019. Our
sophomore year. Yeah,
I think
Yep. No,
how was it being there, man?
It was just different because, like, Jordan, you remember, like, Mo Bamba was still like, like when Mo Bamba would come on them speakers, like the student section would get lit and they would get excited, but what they didn't know is like internally, our team was already bumping Mo Bamba. Like that was like one of the anthems. So when they would throw that on the speakers and like you see the clip and the defense is dancing like pre-snap, like to me that clip is cool because that's just really who that defense really was that year. Like we were just out there having fun. It was NFL talent everywhere. There was so much confidence that they was playing with that there was really no doubt. And I think we were 11-2 that year. We knew when we were lining up that we were going to find a way to go spank somebody. Just that defense that we had, it was different.
And it was smoke because last year we lost. We got demolished at Michigan.
Yep.
And so that's when we had a solid team that year. We lost to Michigan. They took advantage. So they said that thing was white out first play.
Yep. And sidebar on that, I don't know if you remember, Jordan, but when we went to Michigan the year before, the stadium was like kind of loud, like the big house is supposed to be whatever. But Rashawn Gary had been hurt
because he wasn't supposed to play.
So all week everybody's like, Rashawn ain't playing, he ain't doing this. The PA come on, and he's like, and now your starting defensive end. The announcer Rashawn Gary. You would have thought Michael Jackson came out. The way they stood up and was cheering, boy. So it was cool to give him some of that same treatment when they pulled up to our crib at the whiteout, for sure.
Dang. Hey, this is a similar question, but if you could have courtside seats or sit in front row to any sporting event in history that's ever happened, where are you going?
Man, Jordan, y'all came up with some questions.
Hey, come on.
I'm gonna go. Man, I would say probably like the Mayweather Pacquiao fight. I know it didn't end up being like a great fight, but the hype leading up to that, and then having it had been such a big, like I watched every Floyd fight from 2006 on. Like I was so hyped for that one. That if somebody would have came up to me and been like, "Hey, I got you ringside seats to the Mayweather Pacquiao fight," there would have been. I mean, that had topped any other sporting experience in my life for sure.
Yeah, that would have been a fire one. Floyd fight, yeah, that would have been tough. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah. Hey, but look, what's one conspiracy theory that you believe in? I know you got one. Come on, Hawk. Come on, Hawk.
Man, I'm not even gonna lie. So my pops actually just called me about this.
Perfect timing.
My dog has been on he's been on the UFO wave or like the alien thing. So I'm not gonna lie. My pops, listen, so all I'm gonna say is it seems a little naive in this great big universe of ours to assume because we can't go nowhere else for real that we're the only ones out here. I'm not buying it, okay? And I also I really wasn't on the UFO wave. Then my pops called me and was like, listen, we got to talk about what I just saw on Facebook.
What did he see?
I'm ready. You said what?
What did he see on Facebook?
You know how it is on Facebook. People say whatever, they post the links. But I'm with it. I think regardless of why he got to the UFO alien thing, my thing is the universe is so big that they got to be out here. They got to be out here. And I'm not convinced that they ain't in that ocean over there, okay? The ocean, I'm just saying.
Come on, Hawk.
We haven't explored basically any other ocean. You know what I'm saying? So who's to say that they're not already here and they're just kicking it at the bottom of the Atlantic waiting on their time? And I'm hoping that acknowledging them on this podcast will keep me safe when they choose to show themselves.
Yeah. Hey, but look, hey, bro, keep it a buck, bro. Who do you think built the pyramids, though, bro?
Come on, man. Come on, man. It's got to be them aliens, man.
Come on,
man. With no technology, you're telling me with no tech, they built that?
Yeah, no.
Hey, Aaron, bro, I'm trying to tell people, bro. I'm trying to tell people what it is or what it ain't.
No, you know, I always believe that ain't no man but sat there and made them pyramids go up that straight and that perfectly. You know what I'm saying,
bro? And about where it's lined up, bro. Isn't it like
bro, come
on, yeah, I'm gonna go on a whole different.
Another thing, you talk about the ocean, huh? You talk about the ocean. I ain't go. This is the sidebar. It's a little theory I have, bro. Like you said. I think there's stuff down there in the ocean, bro. Like really, like on some Atlantis type vibe. You go deep enough,
dang,
I feel like there's a whole like civilization.
Like mermaids.
Yeah, bro. Mermaids are real. Those are 100%, bro. Look on TikTok, bro. Look on TikTok. Mermaids are real.
Nah, I believe it, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I believe it, Ern. I'm with you, Phil.
Unless you go to the Caribbean, bro. I'm telling you, bro. They real.
They're out there. No, they're for sure out there.
Yeah.
I bet. All right, a couple more.
Okay.
3 people to interview. Your guest list, dream list. You can only pick 3. Who you picking?
Man, alive or dead?
Dead or alive, man.
Man. I'll start off. I've already mentioned him once, but I just feel like Kobe Bryant was so insightful. Like they give him a lot of credit for being a great basketball player. But every time I hear this man open his mouth, whether he's talking about basketball or life, I mean, I was listening to a podcast where he was talking about how he loved to write. He talked about coaching his daughter, like all of that. He just seemed like a really insightful personality. So I feel like he's probably number 1 on that list. I would love to sit down with, man, who else? That's tough, man. I would love to interview Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne's on that list for me for sure. I grew up on that Carter too. I'd love to pick his brain a little bit. And I'm trying to pick another one, different industry. And I grew up watching that Oprah Winfrey show, man. So I'd love to interview Oprah, because you got to remember when that show was big, there wasn't no Black women on television, especially not like that. She was the first, and she started a whole new wave of possibilities. So I would love to chat with her about that too. Yeah,
that's a list, boy. Dang, and I ain't gonna lie, some people may not know. Hey, you a music connoisseur too. So hey, I need your top 3 artists and top 3 producers.
Hey, don't piss me off, huh, man. You better
top 3 artists, top 3 producers, man.
Man, artists. This is just my personal list.
Okay. That's your personal. This your list.
Yeah.
Listen, bro. I'm gonna go again. Wayne's on that list. We gotta talk longevity. And not only that, we gotta talk about who came up under him. Okay, Lil Wayne produced Drake. No matter how you feel about Drake, especially in this day and age, he produced it. He produced Nicki Minaj, who was the queen of the rap game. So to me, I got Wayne on there. This pissed some people off, but I love Jay-Z's music. I love that whole New York sound. So I got Jay up there. And then for my third, man, and this is really gonna piss some people off. But I love J. Cole's music. And I know people clown them J. Cole fans. You know what I mean? I know that's a popular thing to do. But I'm a big J. Cole fan too. So those are probably my 3. And then my producers, man, it's tough. I don't even know if I can give you 3 right now, but one person I got to give love to right now, the work that Metro Boomin does is different. It's different. He tells a story with the beats. Like, it was funny. I love getting on TikTok and people are like talking about Kendrick's diss and then Future's diss. Then they play Metro Boomin's diss. It's just him going stupid on the keys. Like, I don't know. It's cool though. Like, it's a different level. So I think his production is probably my favorite. And then whoever Big X the Plug been working with, okay, because his samples are stupid. So yeah.
Nah, that's a list. I bet 2 more. You have to pick 3 things to a deserted island. What you picking?
To bring to a deserted island? Man, that's good. I don't even know. I'm probably not gonna make it off that island regardless. So I'm gonna just probably bring my PlayStation and just post up a little bit. I'm gonna bring
relaxation.
I got a hammock that's in my storage unit that puts me down every time. So I'm gonna bring that with me. And then I'm gonna just bring like a case of 48 waters and just hope it go well, man. I don't know. I'm just thug it out till it waters out, bro.
Hope for the best, huh?
If I'm on an island by myself, bro, I probably deserve not to get back off of that thing, man. It's probably over. So I'm gonna just enjoy the last couple of days.
I say that. All right, bet. Last one before we wrap it up. What's one thing you would want to be remembered by or as?
Man, that's a good question, man. For so long, I'm not married yet. I ain't got no kids yet. So maybe this will change as those things change with time. But I got four sisters, man, and everything I've ever done has been about trying to set an example and kind of show the way for my younger sisters on how to go about their business. So, when people look back on whatever I do or don't do, I hope that it's evident that I was a family man and that I would do anything for my family, especially my little sisters and those people that I've been able to spend that type of time with. Hopefully I'm remembered as a guy who loved his family and was willing to do whatever it took for him.
Yeah. Hey, that's a perfect wrap up, Aaron.
It is.
Yo, I appreciate y'all having me on, man.
Sure, man. I
appreciate you coming up and chopping it up.
One last thing before we break it down.
Okay.
One last thing. So who will be the perfect guest to have on this show?
The perfect guest. Man, that's tough. You know what? I'm gonna just tell you like this because I'm sure y'all are already plotting on it. But Micah Parsons again, man. You put a camera and a microphone in front of Micah, and it's gonna be electric. So I know Jordan Miner knows how to get Micah going too. So y'all find a way to get Micah up on here, man, and you will see what I'm saying. He's got something to say about anything. So you ask about music, you ask about whatever. So this is my official bid for y'all to get Micah on here, man, because I know it's gonna be electric.
Sticks, you heard it, man. Sticks, make it happen, bro. I know you busy, bro. Wherever you get some time, bro, come holler at your boy 8Ball, man.
So yeah, man. Great endorsement from Hawk, man. We appreciate that. That's gonna be the end of this show, man. Major salute, my boy Hawk, man. Jay Miner. That's gonna be the end of this episode. Like, comment, subscribe.
Yes, sir.